Hi, my name is Danny Englander. In this screencast, I'm going to walk through how I've been designing structured modular content with Entity Construction Kit and Inline Entity Form in Drupal 8. I'll get into the definitions of this in a bit, but first a brief introduction. I'm a front-end web developer, themer, site builder, and designer. You can find me on Twitter at Danny_Englander and check out my Drupal blog, DannyEnglander.com. I've been building websites for 20 years and specifically working with Drupal for the past 7 years. I've seen a lot of changes over time, and if there's one commonality, it's always been about how content is presented on a page or the difficulties thereof. In my current job as a Drupal front-end developer, I've become quite passionate about the needs of content creators, as I am fortunate to work with them directly on a daily basis. I've gained an incredible amount of knowledge from these folks over the past several months. If there's one thing I've learned, content creators and editors sometimes need much more flexibility when creating content than site builders and developers provide for them. One basic definition of structured modular content is a way of freeing content from being bound to one WYSIWYG area in a page edit form. This in turn gives more control and flexibility to content creators over things like layout, content order, colors, and so on, all the while without having to know HTML or jump hoops in a single WYSIWYG. I'm going to show you an alternative possibility here. This won't be the be-all and end-all, but it certainly opens the door for possibilities, but by no means the only method either. To show you the way I've been architecting structured modular content in Drupal 8, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how I've been using Drupal modules, Entity Construction Kit, and Inline Entity Form, the two mainstays of my premise here. I'll use the abbreviations for these modules hereafter, ECK and IEF respectively. I'll start by saying I was inspired a few months ago by a few blog posts that Chapter 3 published about ECK and IEF, so that's really what kicked things into high gear for me. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a nod to the paragraphs module. That's also another fine way of doing this type of thing, and seems to have a much larger ecosystem at this point. I happen to think ECK is a really cool module that provides limitless possibilities, especially working in concert with IEF, as well as the IEF preview module, which I'll also demo. I'll show you how I'm building to allow content creators to order content how they like, providing them with a framework of different kinds of widgets. And by widgets, I mean things like a page hero, call to action, text, photo gallery, stylized quote, video, accordion, etc., with a minimal editing interface that's not overwhelming. So let's get started. To start, I'm going to show you the end result both on the front end and in the node edit form. That will help picture things as I go through the architectural elements within the ECK building area later on. First, let's look at the front end. In this example, I have designed, built, and themed a flexible landing page content type, which references entities, bundles, and fields from ECK. Here, there are various page elements. As we can see here, we have a page hero with a little call to action button. We have an embedded video with a description. We have an FAQ accordion. And then we have a stylized quote where the background color can be set by the content editor. And we have call to action tiles or cards, if you like. And we have a quote carousel. And then we have an image area with image on one side and text on the other. And the content editor can change the image so it's after the text. And then you'll notice throughout the page we have these nice subheadings. So these can also be set and rearranged at will by the content editor. In fact, as you'll see, all these elements can be rearranged at will. And there's lots of intricate customized settings as well for colors, layout, and so on. This is also responsive, so you can see here it works with different viewports and fully responsive as well. Just as a side note, I am using Google's Material Design Framework as a basis for some of the styling and elements here. I'll now show you the Node Edit form for this page. Let's take a look. I'm now on the landing page Node Edit form, and what you might notice right off the bat is the editing interface. It's powered by inline entity form, which provides for the reorderable minimal layout. These quote-unquote slices can be reordered by the content editor. As you can see, I can drag them to reorder as I like. The Slice Widget Select list shows various ECK entities that I've created. A few things to note: you can set which widgets show up here per content type and on a per role basis as well, so it's fairly granular in nature. If I go ahead and edit one of these slices, you'll see the magic of IEF Preview at work. I'll edit the accordion widget, and see here I get a preview of what's in this slice. And that's the inline entity form preview. An important point to note here is that all content is created in place on this page. You don't need to create it elsewhere and then reference it. That saves a lot of time in navigating around, again showing the power of IEF. If I scroll down, I can either add a new slice in place, in this case an accordion item, or I can add an existing slice as a reference. Now if I edit this text area and image widget, you can see a few examples of layout customizations I provided for the content editor. Here we have a title, body, an image. That's all pretty standard. But then you see we can choose a layout, an accent color, and then padding. Flush above, flush below, flush above and below. So it provides for a lot of flexibility. So I'll go ahead and change this to image last, and maybe I'll make a gray, maybe a light gray background. I'll update that slice, and I will save this, and let's take a look. And you can see here I have my title on the left now and the image last. Next up, I'll give you a quick look at the content type edit form, and I'll go to the Manage Fields display for this landing page. And you can see we only have one field here. This is the entity reference to my slices. If I edit this, you can see all the different widgets that I'm referencing here. And these are all ECK entities that I'm referencing. I've now moved on to the Manage Form display for the landing page content type. And you can see here that the slice form display is set to inline entity form complex. This is what allows all those slices to be created in place as well as being referenced in place from existing entities. Now I'll give you a quick tour of the Entity Construction Kit admin area itself. Here we have many different kinds of entities. The main entity that I use here is the slice entity, and that slice entity contains various different bundles. So you have entities which contain bundles which contain fields. So within this slice entity, you can see I have many different kinds of bundles. Some of these are self-contained and others are reference to other entities. So for example, this accordion here is actually just a reference, and I'll go back to this accordion group, and the reason being I need to have more than one accordion within a wrapper. So it was easiest to just reference an accordion and then define that accordion as its own entity. Well, that's a quick tour of how I'm using Entity Construction Kit. I'd love to hear how you're using ECK, or if not ECK, how are you building structured modular content in Drupal 8 for your content creators? Paragraphs? Field collection? Something else? Well, I hope you got something out of this screencast and hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to ping me on Twitter @Danny_Englander. Thanks a lot.